Welcome to the Geostrategic podcast.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into a groundbreaking new report from the CSIS Korea chair. It confirms the existence of a really significant, previously undeclared and very active ballistic missile operating base in North Korea. This isn't just rumor, it's a meticulously documented secret now brought into the light. We're talking about Sinpung-dong.
And that word, undeclared, is precisely what elevates this. It takes it from interesting to, frankly, critically important. You know, in the high-stakes world of international relations and nuclear proliferation, an undeclared military base like this, it immediately signals a strategic program that a nation once kept hidden. It's a clear statement, really, that North Korea is developing capabilities far outside international scrutiny, and maybe more importantly, outside any past or future denuclearization talks. It speaks volumes about their long-term intentions, or at least their deliberate lack of transparency about their true nuclear arsenal.
That's a critical point. So this report, it isn't just identifying a new spot on the map. It's confirming a deliberate strategy of concealment. The findings detail Sinpung-dong as an active ballistic missile operating base deep in North Pyongan province. And you should know, this isn't some isolated case. It's now understood to be one of maybe 15 to 20 similar facilities that North Korea has systematically kept secret. What makes this report such a game changer, I think, is that it's the very first in-depth, open-source study confirming the base, yes, but also pulling back the curtain on its history and its operational capabilities. This isn't just an intelligence brief readout. It's publicly verifiable.
Indeed. And looking closer at its location, well, that adds another layer of intrigue. Sinpung-dong sits about 27 kilometers from the China-North Korean border. It's around 146 kilometers northwest of Pyongyang, and maybe 340 kilometers northwest of Seoul. Now, the report doesn't explicitly say its closeness to China is a protective shield, but it certainly adds, let's say, geopolitical complexity. Any potential surveillance or military action near there would inevitably carry huge diplomatic sensitivities. You know, given China's relationship with North Korea and its own border security concerns, it's a strategic spot, whether by pure design or just circumstance, and it complicates any outside assessment or response.
Okay, so we've got a secret base in a sensitive area. But what's inside? What kind of power does it project? The preliminary analysis from this report paints a very clear and, frankly, concerning picture. It suggests Sinpung-dong likely houses a brigade-sized unit, and that unit is equipped with somewhere between 6 to 9 nuclear-capable intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs. These could be the Hwasong-15, or maybe the newer Hwasong-18, or who knows, maybe even an ICBM we haven't identified yet. And of course, these missiles come with their launchers, the transport erector launchers, PTLs, or the mobile erector launchers, MELs. For those listening, these aren't just trucks. They move the missiles, raise them up, and launch them. Their mobility is absolutely key. It means North Korea's ICBMs aren't stuck in fixed silos, easy targets, which dramatically increases their chance of surviving a first strike, makes them a much more credible threat. So this arsenal, capable of hitting the continental U.S., certainly East Asia, this fundamentally shifts the strategic calculus, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And building on that undeclared point we talked about earlier, it's vital to stress that Sinpung-dong has never, as far as anyone knows, been part of any denuclearization negotiations. Not with the U.S., not with anyone. This detail is crucial. It reveals a consistent long-game strategy by Pyongyang. They might, engage in talks, make public statements about denuclearization, but behind the scenes, they're covertly developing and expanding their most critical missile capabilities. It's not just a slight difference. It's a clear divergence between their public face and their actual long-term strategic goals for keeping and enhancing their nuclear deterrent. It really forced us to ask, how much more is hidden?
That is the chilling question, isn't it? So knowing the significance of what it holds, how long has this facility actually been in the making? And what does its physical construction tell us about their strategic thinking? The report traces the history pretty meticulously. Construction seems to have started around 2004, largely finished by 2014, but with improvements continuing ever since. That decade-long timeline, plus the fact it was likely built by specialized engineering troops. It's just a really considerable level of planning and unwavering commitment from North Korea. This wasn't rushed. It was a carefully thought-out, long-term, clandestine program meant to last. And it's nestled in this isolated, narrow mountain valley, cut through by a stream covering about 22 square kilometers. That's a big footprint for something meant to be hidden.
And what's truly fascinating here, I think, is the operational concept the base design points to. It says a lot about North Korea's priority: survivability. The assessment is that during a crisis or war, these mobile launchers and missiles would roll out of the base. They'd then meet up with specialized units carrying the nuclear warheads, which, importantly, are stored separately for security reasons, and then they'd move to launch from dispersed pre-surveyed sites. This focus on mobility, dispersion, separate warhead storage, it's absolutely critical for making these assets survivable against a preemptive strike. It makes it incredibly difficult for an adversary to take them all out in one go, which bolsters North Korea's second strike capability and therefore its deterrence.
Right. So to help you picture Sinpung-dong, the report breaks it down into 6 general activity areas, each with a specific function in this whole operation. You've got your entrance checkpoints, obviously controlling access, then the headquarters and administration area, barracks, housing, vehicle maintenance, that sort of thing. Further in, warehouse areas for equipment. Then crucially, these hardened drive-through missile checkout facilities. These are where missiles get armed, fueled, systems checked before they deploy. Then there's a large underground facility, the UGF, and various small housing and support buildings scattered around. And what's really insightful isn't just what these areas are, but how they combine. It reveals this deep concern for a survivable, self-sufficient missile operation. Those hardened facilities especially suggest a focus on resilience.
Exactly. And focusing on those hardened facilities in the UGF, that's really key to understanding the base's protective design. The hardened drive-through facilities, for example, they're quite substantial, not just buildings. They're essentially tunnels dug right into the mountainsides, about 35 by 17 meters, and they're covered with thick soil, vegetation for excellent concealment, blending right in. Their size means they can handle all known KPA ballistic missile launchers, which gives them flexibility for different missile types. The underground facility, the UGF, is even more impressive, a real testament to some sophisticated engineering. Built between, 2006 and 2014, its entrances are quite unique. To handle the steep terrain and the seasonal flooding from mountain streams, the entrances were built 20 to 40 meters above the stream beds. They used terrace construction, large ramps. They even built dedicated water tunnels underneath them so the streams can flow freely, avoiding floods near critical access points. And the use of natural vegetation around these entrances makes them incredibly hard to spot with commercial satellite imagery, especially outside of winter. It's really a masterclass in hiding infrastructure.
And the cleverness doesn't stop there, does it? The report also points out smaller, but still significant elements nearby. Around the perimeter, for instance, there are these remote compounds with small cultivated fields. They likely serve a security role, sort of an outer watch, or maybe even local food sources. Then there are 3 drive-through bunkers, 40 to 55 meters long, tucked in a branch valley. Type 500 bunkers, usually for vehicles or equipment, possibly from an older unit that got absorbed into the base structure. But here's where the report gets really interesting, sparking some serious strategic questions. It identifies 2 unique open earth bermed support structures. One's about 24 by 7 meters, the other 27 by 7 meters, built around 2013-2014. They're distinctive, aligned about 18 degrees north. Now, initially there was speculation they might be more UGF entrances, but that was apparently ruled out. Then came this really intriguing idea. Could they be coffin-style launch complexes? That's a fascinating comparison. It's similar to what the early U.S. Atlas D and E ICBMs used back in the Cold War. The missile lies horizontally in a hardened shelter, then gets raised vertically fast for launch. And more recently, similar concepts have been seen at Iranian missile bases near Shiraz and Tehran. Now, if that were true for Sinpung-dong, it would imply North Korea wants a very rapid reaction launch capability, letting them launch quickly in emergencies without exposing big launchers outside for long. Though the report ultimately suggests they might just be uncompleted warehouses. But the very mention, the comparison to those coffin-style sites, especially the Iranian ones, is notable. It raises questions about North Korea's strategic thinking, maybe future developments toward faster, hardened launch options.
Exactly. It shows they're constantly exploring survivable launch methods. And connecting this to the bigger picture, Sinpung-dong isn't operating in isolation. It's part of North Korea's wider, deeply integrated strategic missile belt. This includes other undeclared bases we know about, like Hojongni, Sangnam-ni, Yeongjori, Yeongnam. This network, it represents the primary components of North Korea's evolving missile strategy and its expanding strategic nuclear deterrence and strike capabilities. It's not just a random collection of sites, it's an integrated system designed for survivability, redundancy, and effectiveness. A very comprehensive approach.
The report also touches on the order of battle, giving that preliminary assessment. A brigade-sized unit, those 6 to 9 ICBM Telsmils, support units. And understanding this order of battle is tricky, isn't it? Because Korean People's Army units, their structures are often different from Western models, sometimes designed for deception or specific operational needs. It makes it really hard for outsiders to accurately gauge their true strength or intentions. So that 6 to 9 ICBM estimate is based on some very careful analysis of these non-standard formations and interpreting the imagery.
Definitely. And thinking about defense for such a critical place, it's layered. While Sinpung-dong itself doesn't seem to have fixed anti-aircraft guns right inside, it's certainly under North Korea's national air defense umbrella. There are other batteries nearby. And crucially, the missile unit itself would almost certainly have its own organic air defense, maybe light AAA, shoulder-fired missiles. This combination suggests a sophisticated layered defense strategy for these nuclear assets, relying on both regional cover and the unit's own mobile protection.
What really stands out for me from this deep dive into Sinpung-dong is just the sheer level of long-term planning. The integrated clandestine construction, that decade-long development, the strategic location chosen for concealment and maybe geopolitical reasons, the hardened facilities dug into mountains, the elaborate camouflage, it all points to a meticulously thought-out program. This isn't some ad hoc setup. It's proof of a sophisticated, expanding, and strategically vital network built right under the world's nose. So to bring it all together for you listening, the unearthing of Sinpung-dong isn't just about finding another military base. It provides concrete, satellite image-backed evidence of the sophisticated, expanding, and strategically critical, undeclared ballistic missile network in North Korea. It confirms, really without doubt, that despite everything talks, sanctions North Korea has been steadily building out its most dangerous capabilities in secret, making their arsenal more robust and survivable.
And this revelation is profoundly significant, especially considering its potential for housing nuclear-capable ICBMs and its complete absence from any past denuclearization talks. It fundamentally changes how we understand North Korea's true strategic capabilities, their intentions. It forces a reevaluation of what we thought we knew about their arsenal and, frankly, their actual commitment to future negotiations. It raises that big question. If this network was built in such secrecy for so long, what else might still be hidden?
Exactly. And here's a final thought for you to mull over. If that speculation about coffin-style launch complexes, hinting at rapid reaction, has even a grain of truth, what does the existence of such a deeply buried, hardened network of undeclared bases built over decades truly mean for global deterrence and stability? Particularly if North Korea is prioritizing rapid, survivable launch over any kind of transparency. It adds a whole new layer of complexity to an already tense situation. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Thanks for tuning in. If you found this discussion valuable, please like, share, and subscribe to the Geostrategic podcast for more in-depth analysis on topics that shape our world. Stay informed, stay ahead, and stay tuned for the next episode.